My name is Brach Johnson. I'm the Resource Conservationist with the Natural Resources Conservation Service Office in Schuyler. I'm here today. I fill in. We have a vacancy here in the Fremont office. I've been filling in here for the last few months. And today I'm just going to talk about the NRCS programs that we have to assist in the drought, specifically related to forages. I started with NRCS about almost 20 years ago, and when we started, I've been working with cover crops on cropland. First year I started, I worked in Antelope County. We did some cover crops in the sandy pivot corners up in Antelope County, north of Neely. So I got familiar with what they were doing those cover crops for. And then in 2004, we had the Conservation Stewardship Program. It was a security program back then, was launched, and we had, I think, one cover crop practice back then, and it was for soil erosion. And so we had a few people sign up for that. I didn't really know what I was doing at the time, and just the evolution of what we do now with cover crops. I would say about, even back then we signed up a cover crop, we actually stipulated that the cover crop could not be grazed. And that's just how we were operating at that point. I would say about 5 or 6 years ago, we encouraged grazing on our cover crop contracts through both the EQIP, the Environmental Quality Incentive Program, and the Conservation Stewardship Program, it's now called. We have cover crop options for both of those programs on cropland. And now we've gone full circle where we actually have a major soil health initiative that we launched nationwide, and we're probably in the forefront of that here, I would say. In Nebraska, in Eastern Nebraska specifically. I think the other day I figured out I worked on about 1,000 contracts since my employment here with NRCS. I've written over 200,000 acres worth of seed sheets for cover crop. So I've got some experience with it. One thing I will say, like, we really rely on extension, the beef grazing specialist for sure. We get some participants who come in and want to know what can I plant on my cropland. And, you know, I'm not an expert in that. I can tell you a lot of what I've learned about cover crops and how it fits with our programs and our requirements and things. But we got great resources with extension here, and we call on those all the time to get the right mix for you, depending on how you're going to graze that. So to speak a little bit about EQIP, and if you have some prevented plant acres, I think crop insurance is going to talk a little bit about the implications to that. But I would say that if you got to straighten the field up, that's cropland, and you just know you're not going to get it planted this year, one of the things you should look at is cover crop. And we could, I know that our state office is looking at a special initiative just for the flooding to maybe get some funds to get cover crop into contracts early. The other option for that would be to just stop in the office. The EQIP program is a continuous sign-up period. So you can sign up year-long. We have a ranking cutoff period periodically throughout the year when we get funds. The next cutoff period isn't scheduled till, I think, probably November of 2019 here. But there are some early start waivers that we could do potentially to get you some funding now, and you could do the practice now. But the cover crop is going to do a lot of things. I mean, we got to start rejuvenating the soil. If it's, you know, you're going to have a lot of soil mixed. The cover crop, we're going to put a diverse mix in. I've done mixes with over 10 species. The better the mix, the more diversification you're going to have, and we can start, you know, loosening the soil, eliminating compaction. We're going to start creating soil organic matter, rebuilding those soils. And then at the end of the day, we're going to be able to graze those this fall and give you some forage out of that cover crop. In fact, the #1 cover crop applicant we have coming into our offices in Eastern Nebraska that I work with is going to be a farmer or a guy that's got cattle. They're putting cattle back on the farm. Son or daughter has come back to try and farm, and we're doing the cover crop seeding as a dormancy seeding in the corn stalks in a corn bean rotation, and we're grazing those cover crops in the spring. If you look at growing degree days, heat unit days, moisture availability, all those things, May is the month. I think that a lot of cattle, people raising cattle are figuring out that, you know, May is more equivalent to August than it is September or October almost for a lot of those parameters. So you can get a lot of growth, and we can plant seeds that will overwinter just fine and provide us with a lot of grazing. So we really opened up the grazing We really promote it. We're flexible in a lot of ways to make that successful for you. So a couple highlights, like I said, for EQIP, the continuous sign-up period, you can sign up year-round. We'd encourage you to, I'll be sticking around here afterward for a little bit. If you've got questions, by all means, look me up and we'll get those questions answered. Might have a special sign-up possible. You'll watch your news releases for that, or again, call us and we'll get you on a list in case that happens. Typically, they're 3-year contracts. We're going to do it in the corn stalks or in the same field for 3 years. In fact, in Lower Platte North NRD, which is administered out of Wahoo, I would say probably 70% of our EQIP funds are tabbed towards cover crop practices. So very important practice for our agency. The mix, this year the mixes have changed. I guess the single species on cropland has been paying the incentive to you $25 an acre roughly. On the mixes, they've been as high as $46.50 in some years. Now they're down to about 35. It's based on averages. Every year they change, but I think you can expect the range of $35 to $45 an acre for cover crop mix. And then the last thing, through EQIP, we have a demo farm, and those are, we've got one here in Dodge County. I would love to get another demo farm. So if you got cattle, you want a demo farm, would cap out at $10,000 per contract for 5 years. So it's $50,000, and we work directly with the Extension. They do a great job of helping us with these demo farms. We're going to have replicated test plots. And in addition to that, so maybe we're going to have a project cause. So we're going to maybe try and identify, I would love to get something with grazing, involved in grazing, so on a test plot basis. So if you want to learn more about the demo farms, again, I'll be here after the program. We can talk about that more. So with that, that's all I have. Does anybody have any questions on anything we do? All right, very good. Thank you.